Hello, everyone. I'm Caden Ellertson, and this is the Dirtbag Discovery.
You double rainbow.
Yeah, dude, double rainbow. A double rainbow FA. This is legit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Dirtbag Discovery. I'm your host, Caden Ellertson, and today we embark on a beautiful journey through time with local legend and rock climbs in the David Thompson Corridor Volume 7 designer Brian Olstad. But before we dive into the interview, I just wanted to say thank you and that I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the best of my knowledge, the only Central Alberta climbing podcast, where curiosity takes us on adventures through the hearts and minds of local climbers. Let's get after it. It's a beautiful Wednesday night, tranquil in room 1006W on the RDP campus. Today I have a beautiful guest named Brian Olstad, local legend, guidebook author, and writer, and family man. How's it going?
It's good. It's finally sunny out there, so it's a good day.
Definitely, yeah. We just faced like 2 weeks straight of rain. It's been wet in the mountains, but that's life. The mountains need water too. But yeah, let's get started. So I want you to share your story with how and why you got into climbing.
So it was 1994, and I was actually attending this very school. And I had a buddy, Chad Stewart, who was he was a freestyle skier, and he was like super cool guy. And he got us into mountain biking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you should come. There's a climbing gym on the North Hill. You should totally come try it." And I poo-pooed it and whatever. And so we went there, and he's like, "Yeah, come to this gym." And so went to the gym, and it was Just Ask Outdoor Pursuits. Tanya and Marcel Schur ran it. Actually, sorry, there was a partner then, Rick, and so it was a gun shop / climbing gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I honestly, I climbed, I was one of those people, you see them in Trailhead all the time, where it's like they touch the wall and they're literally like, "I'm coming here every day until I die." Like, that was pretty much me.
Definitely. Yeah, I have had similar experiences. And the gym was called Outdoor Pursuits.
Just Ask.
Just Ask.
Yeah.
Outdoor Pursuits.
So, because he was like, "I want to give you advice," kind of.
Okay. Crazy. And that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were connected with Frontier Lodge in the day, and they're kind of ex-army. And so we always used to laugh because you'd be in this gym, and you have to imagine that it's every hold is these micro-metolius hunks of concrete, but they're like quarter pad crimps, and you're just like, "Yeah, this is great." But they'd either be shooting guns because they're testing them and fixing them, or one of the army guys would come by, and they always used to make fun of us. And I remember I was climbing like 3 or 4 feet off the wall, and Rick just like kicked me off the wall. Like, kicked me in the ribs while I was climbing. It was like, that's literally the life we were living.
That's crazy. Yeah, so what does an indoor gym look like back in the 90s?
So it was 20 feet high on 67th, or sorry, yes, Taylor Drive and 67th. And it was plywood, like not super different from Trailhead. Fewer T-nut holes. It was very super ghetto in the sense that nobody knew how to make them. So they just got a drill, and they just drilled through the wall. They went to the next bay on the other side and put a steel plate there and bolted a wall. And they threw a sling around the beam, and they hung a rope on it. And but the way they did it, and you can argue systems all you want, but they had the gree-grees attached to a sling on the ground, bolted to the concrete. So you were never attached to anybody. So you could have somebody belaying within 3 seconds because you were teaching them one thing. And so you could have a school group of 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds or whatever come in, teach them how to belay, and they could belay in their school group on day 1, hour 1.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But it was super sparse. Every hold is gray. The wall is gray. And the holds, you know, you might, the spacing, you know, it's just 3-foot gaps between tiny little chunks of concrete. And somehow we managed to make that work. There was no bouldering. It was concrete floor, no padding.
Was it a lot of traversing?
We did a lot. We did a lot of climb the gym.
Okay.
Where 15 ropes in there. No, it would have been A to G, I think. Whatever number that is. That was how many ropes were in the first iteration before he expanded. And yeah, you would just climb the up, down, up, down, up, down. But there wasn't enough holds to traverse. So you kind of just did whatever you could. But it was what it was. Like, that's all it was. So it was very, like I say, people shooting and a bit Wild Westy at times.
Oh, that's beautiful, though. There's probably some bittersweet to that, and compared to modern climbing gyms that are like, they're super cool, but I don't know. There's probably some nostalgia there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think the thing that's the strangest sometimes to me is when it's busy, because we were alone. We were alone for 15 years. We was just, there's like 10 people that do this, and you know, less so in Calgary. And you know, UFC scene was hot, you know, Yamnuska scene, all that stuff. But Red Deer, you know, there was nothing.
Yeah, so where did the Red Deer crew get out to? Like, how long did it take you to get outside?
I climbed the fall of 94 at Cougar Canyon, and I remember, and again, this is a crazy kind of story, because you go out there and you have no idea what's going on, and again, I think back. So if you look in your guidebook at Cougar Canyon, you see Made in the Shade, and you have kind of the stuff on the right. If I have the map correct in my mind, and then in the middle there's a climb called Made in the Shade, and that was the climb for at least noobs, the way we were, you know, we're looking for a 10A or whatever, and you can barely climb Made in the Shade today. Like, it is just glass, and there is kind of a neat looking multi-pitch up on the left of it, But so we climbed in the shade that day, and then we crossed over. We went to Crowbar Crag, and then one of the guys, Chris, that was with us, he was like the cool guy who, you know, he was, you know, I don't know, he was stronger at least, and so he climbed Critical Mass, and Critical Mass is like epic in my brain, because he climbs up. There's a fixed draw on Critical Mass that day. There isn't, and so you're under an undercling. You climb up, you clip one bolt, you climb up, you grab an undercling, you have to go over the little roof, and you have to clip super high to get number 2, and he totally muffs it, and he backslaps from like 20 feet on in the air on the gravel, and we're like, is this outdoor, like, what is this outdoor climbing? Oh, and my gosh. I remember standing there staring at the ground, and Chris is laying on his back, and he's kind of, and and we're like, I mean, I don't even know if I had taken first aid then. I don't even know. And so we're like, we did some things, and he was totally fine. He, you know, we did what you do, which is essentially a primary survey. You get the person stabilized and figure out what they're going to do, and it's like, yeah, he's fine. His hands and toes work. His neck works. Everything works. We like pull the rope, walk away. Chris never climbed again. Like, not one other time. And I don't think he climbed again in his life.
Crazy. Yeah.
So we went to Cougar heaps. And like, again, Grassy was not the grass. I didn't go to Grassy for a while, but it was a lot of Cougar, Grassy, a little bit of Grotto, Lake Louise eventually, and then a little bit of Hart. But we were strong enough that Hart, by the time we discovered Hart, we were kind of poo-pooey on it. But Hart wasn't as polished. Like Hart's pretty polished now, and same thing. It was a little nicer.
Yeah, for the people who don't know where Cougar is, I feel like a lot of people know where Grassy Lakes is, but like Cougar is kind of like, it's been closed for the majority of my climbing career, if not all of it, until last season. Where is that?
It's just across the valley directly from Grassy Lakes. So it's the exact opposite drainage. It's between Grotto and Mount Lady McDonald.
Okay.
So it's where the flood came down, and that's why they built the dam. And there was a swimming hole underneath that dam. It's probably one of the things I'll yearn for my whole life is that little swimming hole. You'd climb in Cougar. You'd always bring sandals. You'd walk up in shoes. You'd walk down in sandals, and you'd walk literally through the creeks because it was just limestone slabs. You'd walk down the limestone slabs in the creek, and your feet and your legs would get clean and cold. And then at the end, right before you got to the car, there was this beautiful 10-foot swimming hole that was about 5 feet deep, and everyone would just tarps off and in the water, and it's underneath the gravel pit now.
Tragic.
But Cougar was classic, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I got to go check it out. I heard like the infrastructure there is pretty sweet too. Like they did a good job.
The dam is a piece of work. It's 33 or some odd meters high. Like it's huge, and you can drive a truck over it and drive a truck back and down in the other side. Yeah, it's a thing.
Crazy.
One other thing too, that first day climbing in Cougar Canyon, I again didn't know anything about anything. So the first hardware I saw were these pieces of angle iron with the self-tapping masonry screws, 1/4 inch. And so you were literally clipping a piece of folded steel. Occasionally you see them around still. Sometimes you're clipping pitons. There wasn't a lot of the really, they were there, but they like Critical Mass on the other side had more of a modern bolt hanger but all that old stuff at Made in the Shade was like some guy in his garage cutting a piece of angle iron and drilling holes in it.
Okay.
And that once you understand how those self-tapping masonry bolts work, it's terrifying.
Okay, I have not understood that. I've climbed past like a few on like Kid Goat and on Yam, and it always says don't clip the relic bolts.
Yeah.
So I've just never indulged in that.
There's some at Carrot too, at Carrot Creek.
I've never climbed there. I heard the rock's pretty sick. It's quieter too there.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay.
Especially if you go in wildflower season, because you walk through a meadow when you get to walk in there.
Sick. Yeah, no, Tate recommended it to me, and I was like, I got to go check it out, but I've never done it. Okay, so that was 94. So that was just your first year of climbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what did it look like for the next 5 years? Like, was it just the same thing? Like, you just made it work?
I think, yeah, we just literally went to the gym. Somehow Marcel, because again, he was a retired Army.
Yeah.
His story is incredible. He founded Search and Rescue in Red Deer, huge community member on that side of the outdoor community. I don't even know. He would. I'm not sure what we paid. I think I did a lot of punch cards. There wasn't passes like a monthly pass or anything. Curtis is so convenient for everybody. But somehow he made us clean the bathrooms and polish the display cases before we climbed. And I'm like, how does that even work? I think back to that and it'd be like me walking into the trailhead and Curtis handing me a mop and saying, go clean the bathroom before you climb. Otherwise you can't climb today. But somehow we were like cleaning the bathrooms.
Crazy.
But we just climbed. Like, I bet you it was at least 5 days a week. We were just there. And you were there because it was open and you went there and you went home, and it wasn't, we did a lot of mountain biking. Mountain biking's still really good in Red Deer. Like, we did that, and we rock climbed, and we did that like all the way through until realistically 2003 when the Rock and Rope, which was the second owner, when he closed. But I think, yeah, it's just all these different people that came through. Some of my best friends I've ever had in the world walked through between 95 and 2001. And yeah, I think it was one kid in particular. I was about 20 and he was about 15 or something. And Quentin, and he was the funniest guy, and he is the funniest guy, and just zany, but kind of long and athletic, and he could just do everything really well. And we climbed so much. Like the first picture in this photo album that I brought is me and Quentin parked at the top of Grassy Lakes, going down, and because that was him and me. He used to always say we were Sharma and Caldwell, because that was when Sharma and Caldwell were always there, and it was always like, yeah, this is who we are, like. And there'd always be a carload of teenagers in somebody's car driving out, but we almost always went out to the Bow Valley.
Totally. Yeah. When did the DTC start getting like action, or like the whole time? Probably.
I think if when you look at Mike Adolph and what him and his dad Rolf were doing, there was in the DTC guidebook, you look at Yambraham and you can see around 2001 they were developing Yambraham. I know this now because I've read every single word 50,000 times in the guidebook. And Todd Learn was climbing with Mike Adolph, and they were doing development. And I remember we were really good friends with Todd Learn, Ken Charlton from Rocky Mountain House. And if you ever get to climb with Ken Charlton, he's like, somehow he's just like a dancer. It's just really cool. And same thing, he's funny. But Todd Learn was like, hey, you guys should come out to Nordegg. There's some cool stuff. There's these people out here developing a crag. And I think going back, that was probably Dark Side. I don't actually know. Yeah. Because I was like, yeah, I go to Lake Louise. So I never actually went to Nordegg really at all. Maybe a little bit of mountain biking or something, but like we would drive through and we would camp, but we didn't climb there. You went there and hiked, at least for me. But I think again, huge probably, when I look, I mean, we hung out, there's no reason we couldn't have been there, but we weren't thinking route development. And I think it was very raw and go and make it and then climb it kind of. But that was right in that 2001 when you can look in the guidebook and you can see the dates at Yambraham, and I can see the stuff happening in my brain because I remember the stories of people telling us you should come to Nordegg, and it was right in that era. So for me at least it's 2000. But then when you look back at all the stuff that Jay Mills and Mike Adolph were doing, even Tim was around for a lot of that stuff, that it goes back into the late 90s. So it'd be interesting to see what Mike had to say, yeah, because he would know where all that stuff really happened.
Yeah, Mike would be a good guest. He's got probably a lot of lore at least for Nordegg climbing. Yeah, he's got a lot, and he's kind of a humble guy. He doesn't throw himself around too much, and it'd be neat to hear him talk about the crazy time that something happened. And definitely. Sweet. Well, yeah, let's talk about crazy. What's who's the craziest climbing character in your climbing journey?
Craziest character? Oh man. Well, Quentin was nuts. He was 15 and man, really not unlike Oliver in like happy, willing to do, good for a gag. One of Quinn's, we go climbing and then we go into Banff. You'd get a burger or something, and Quinn would always go to the candy store and he would buy gummy vampire teeth, and then he would chase tourists. and I have a picture of him, and he's like going vampire, and he's because he would ask tourists to take his picture, and then he would be like like and just crazy stuff like that was amazing. And I think when you look back, if you've ever heard of Yam Meadows, and this might be another piece, but Yam Meadows was a place you just kind of show up and someone would be there and you'd hang out. But like Friday night at Yam Meadows, at least for us, like we weren't like, oh, let's go out and drink, but we would go out and it was just like you're coming uncorked from all the pressure of things. And you'd sit out there in your sleeping bag and you'd watch meteor showers and then you would just pummel each other in your sleeping bags. But I mean, those I think are the good things. There's not really locals per se, but there was a friend we met in Thailand. His name was Perg, and he came and lived in Canmore for a couple of years, and he was crazy.
Tell me more.
It's hard to really explain. He's like big, fluffy orange hair and thick New Zealand accent, and just good to go on everything, and always happy. Like not really that crazy, but just kind of stand out that way. And Heidi was belaying, and we were trying to climb at Acefale. It was when I kind of had discovered the 39 steps, and I was like inches away from the jug, and obviously there's one warm up there, and you're climbing, it's on a ledge that goes down, and Heidi was belaying Perg, and he climbed up, clipped the first bolt, climbs up again, and someone was like, why are you guys climbing the warm up? and through whatever happened, Perg kicked the first quick draw literally off the wall, which makes no sense. So now he's at the second bolt, he has nothing, and I I'm sure Heidi was making noises, and but he clips it in and off he goes. And there's one guy that stands out that it's worth noting, because I think when you talk about history and you talk about the old and the new and the whatever today is being the new, there was a guy we used to call Old Joe, came into Just Ask Outdoor Pursuits, and he was old then. So and he would come in, and he was this old proper British guy. He was an old alpine guy, and he was fine, like he would talk to you and everything, but he would make his wife, she would shuffle in, and he would be like, you sit here on the bench while the men climb. And I remember looking at it and being like, well, why does she even need to be here? Like, what are you doing? And I mean, when you see the young women today that are ripping, and I look back and I look at that lady who I don't even know if I ever knew her name. And, I think about Old Joe kind of in his, not quite his tweed, but, his proper whatever. He was probably 60 or 70 in the 90s, and, basically mistreating this lady. And I think now I'm like, I get jacked when I look around and I'm like, man, like, look at all these comp kids, these girls that are empowered, and the comp scene where it's like there's so many more girls in the comp scene. I get jacked over that. When you think about characters, I love that contrast.
Yeah, no, it's pretty beautiful. Like, I come from a hockey background where like it's male dominated sport. But now that I'm coaching in climbing, it's like I have 6 girls on my team and 4 boys, and the girls are stoked. Like they love coming to practice, and they're great climbers, and it's just like a beautiful community. Even I was climbing with your daughter, Sophie, 2 weeks ago, and she was just talking about like how being like a good role model in her career as a woman, like what that means to her. And I was like, oh man, like I wonder if this developed in climbing. Like you came in and you were a great climber, and you like found yourself, and you're like continuing on and like taking women into the mountains and being a good role model for them. And I'm like, that's like pretty badass. And well, even your wife's a good climber. Where did you guys meet?
We met in the Rock and Rope, which is climbing gym 2.0.
Okay.
And I was gonna bring, because we used to log our rope usage. So we used to have these log books, and I have a log book that I wrote down. It was would be the day that we probably realized we liked each other. We climbed 20 different routes at Grassy Lakes in a single day.
That's wild.
Which is basically like half. And yeah, she moved to Red Deer from the U of A, and we met there, and we didn't really like, it was just, we were just people. And like I say, I think most of us boys, we were so used to just being like a bunch of smelly boys. We were like, why? We were super happy there. but so and again, that was kind of that phase where things started to change a little bit, where it wasn't just a bunch of smelly teenage boys.
Yeah, the community was growing.
Yeah, more of a community versus just smelly boys.
Definitely. What's and you guys met like early 2000s?
We met almost literally New Year's after Y2K, probably January 4th or 5th or something.
Crazy. In
2000, because that was graduation. I was teaching, and I was route setting at Rock and Rope, and somehow, I'm not even sure, you'd route set with like 14 holes total. But we that was early 2000, and then Heidi and I started dating in the summer.
Okay, sweet. That's crazy. And then what's Rockalicious 2002?
Well, it's funny because there was no comp scene sort of really, and so it was all locals. It was all, you went to Vertically Inclined in Edmonton, and you went to Calgary, and so Rockalicious was what the Rock and Rope put on, and it was just the big comp. So 2002 would have been kind of the last one of those locals before everything went down. And I remember like it was pretty much the real deal. Like it was shut down on Friday. Like it was kind of almost getting close to what we think it is now. And I was like, I can't really go in the comp because I basically have to route set the whole thing by myself. And it would have been a bouldering comp, and it's so funny because it's so ghetto, because it's a concrete floor. And Chad Reed, who owned the gym, he was like, I'll go to a extended care facility. I'll get a whole bunch of used up mattresses. And he brought a truckload of like old single mattresses from the care facility, and he threw them out on the concrete, and he's like, now we can boulder. So that's our fantastic comp, is like you throw a bed under somebody.
That's awesome. I love that. Which is really what modern bouldering is anyways outside. We just have foldable ones.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I think I got my first bouldering pad in 2001-ish.
Do you still own it?
Oh yeah, it's the Vortex one.
Okay.
It's the one with the drawing on it.
Yeah.
And those pads, the cordless taco pad, even today, they're pretty coveted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sick. So you brought up Yam Meadows, and Mount Yam's like one of my favorite spots to climb. That's where like John Waterman took me on my first multi-pitch. Is it like a campground, or what is it, or is it just a spot?
Yeah, so what it was there's the sort of the main parking lot where you park now, and I haven't actually been back there in a little while, but there should be a gate now, because you used to just drive straight in and you go anywhere. There was no fences, there was no gates. And so if you could do it now, it would take you 10 minutes to walk from your car. If you went in and you turned roughly south, there's a pond and a meadow. And we would drive, and you drive through the grass, and there was a little road, and you would camp beside this pond, and that was Yam Meadows, at least in my mind. And you just literally on Friday, you didn't even really have to. Everybody threw $5 in the car, and you drove out there, and you just found people, and it was just great, because all your people just came, and there was, where are we going, and all those things. It's ironic, because I've never actually climbed Yam. I've hiked it, but I've never climbed it. So I don't know if you have time.
We should definitely go climb Easy Street. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, it's something I think it would be definitely I got to do before I get too old.
You got lots of time left. Sweet. Let's segue more into your climbing journey. I'm curious, like, what is the most valuable lesson that you learned through the sport of climbing?
That's an interesting thing, because it's always been very local, like in the moment for me. It's been movement and flow, and so I think probably just moving forward. It might not be quite the right answer you're looking for, but Tim Taylor has like shattered my psyche probably 4 full times since I've met him, with his sage like sayings that he says to people. And he says often, he's like, do the next good thing. And I think climbing is kind of that. Is, you can kind of go down, but to some degree you need to do the next thing that you can do right now. And that's probably huge. I have a tendency to freeze. So the deer that stops in the middle of the highway and gets plowed by the semi, that's kind of me. So when things that teach me that are really valuable. I'm a terrible trainer. Heidi probably would say the most thing she wishes that I would do is train better. But I loved climbing, because climbing was the training. And you can climb and get stronger. And if you want to get good, you have to train and climb. That's probably the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think those are very wise words. I have no expectations with that question. I'm always just so curious. So many people pull different things out of it, which is beautiful. Let's continue on with, we talked about getting better. Like, climbing is all about self-improvement. And we're always looking at making things as easy as possible. But what is your biggest regret in climbing?
I think if I looked at the whole of my climbing career, and don't judge me if I cry when I tell you this story, it would be competing with Quentin. 100%. Because he's a guy who I rarely talk to now, but it's chill if we do. But he's a guy that I would be like, that's my brother. And when we started to get strong, problem is I got strong, I was 25. He got strong, he was 17. And you've seen what 17-year-olds do when they get strong. And I started to compete with him in my own mind, and I broke our relationship. And took me a couple years to realize those things and what that meant. And now the blessing in that is that I look at people and I get so much joy out of seeing people succeed, because I know now, I know that if I wouldn't have been whatever, arrogant, selfish, we would have trained together and we would have ripped. Like it would have been amazing, and instead it kind of, really just hurt everybody. Totally. So I 100%, it's selfishness, 100%, not any of the other stuff.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that. I like how you came across in the end, and now you have the opposite reaction to this. You're stoked for people who are climbing and who are growing. I think it's easy. Climbing is very everybody's on the grind and everybody's trying to get better. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to get into that mindset, especially I see it in the comp team all the time. Yeah. And even when you're going out and climbing in the Bow Valley, you run into people and I'm like, oh, that's, I mean no harm, but I get it. This is life and it can get competitive, but it's good to take a step back and appreciate other people.
One of the things I loved about the sport, going back to the first question really, is that it was a thing where everybody was supposed to be able to move in their own line. One guy gets fast, one guy gets strong, one guy doesn't. Theoretically, it shouldn't matter. And that was actually one of the things I loved in the beginning.
Yeah. It's like a sport for the individual, really. It's your own journey, and it might take you 25 years to climb a 5'11", and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Or you might only climb 5'9" your whole life, but there's something for everyone.
And now that I'm a little older and hard is harder, you realize it doesn't matter what the grade is. Hard is still hard. When you think about the newbie who's climbing, he's climbing the 5'7" auto belay and he doesn't even know which way is up. Hard is exactly the same for that guy as Peter's around and he's trying to send the 13 on the lead wall. Hard is actually the same.
Yeah, we kind of put grades on it, but the grades don't mean anything. I talked to my climbing coach partner Mauricio today, and he's kind of at his 2-year climbing mark, and he was like, Caden, I think my mindset's changing. I either can do it or I can't. It's not V7, it's not V8, it's not V1, it's not V2. It's I can do it or I can't, and I like to learn things and try things to get to the position where I can do the things that I couldn't once do. And that's all that matters. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad you're learning this now. But at the end of the day, lessons just spin around us until we pick them up and learn them. But yeah, that's good advice. What is next in your climbing journey?
What is next? Well, I had wanted to climb a 12 before I turned 50. I'm 50. I top rope to 12. So I don't know whether that counts or not. I had said I wanted to climb hard, whatever that means to me. I'm not even sure anymore. Before I really get old, I had kind of wanted to climb hard one more time, whatever that means. But it's actually really hard because I look, and I was thinking about you because you're an empathetic guy, And I can think about climbing in the flow state, sending a project, and being happy. And I can watch someone else do that, or I can watch my kids or whatever, and I actually feel the same. And I don't know if that's a transition of being older and where you slowly migrate into a support role. It's just kind of how it works, right? And so it's like, well, what is next in my climbing journey? To some degree, I have some things I got to sort out with the mechanics of my body and things like that. I'm really enjoying the idea of multi-pitch, and I'm not convinced I'm going to climb hard sport routes a ton. And trying to take a look at what alpine climbing means to me, but I don't know yet. I don't know what it means. But I always enjoyed the technical aspects of climbing more than standing on a summit necessarily. So I feel more like, oh, well, maybe, I'll just climb Starstruck 1,000 times.
I've done that. Not 1,000, but
yeah,
8 times. It's beautiful every time.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the joys of what we've got to enjoy the last few years here in the DTC is things like that.
Definitely. I would agree. Okay, what is your biggest triumph in climbing? Like, we just talked about falling into the trap and, getting competitive, and then we also just talked about like the beautiful aspects of community and routes and getting to experience things with other people. But yeah, what is your biggest triumph?
I think in the simplest sense, my biggest triumph is, I did send a 12B once. I know everybody's like super strong now, and they're like, yeah, I climbed 12B on Wednesday. But and it's called Thank You Sophie, which is my daughter's name, which makes me super stoked. But it took 2 trips to Thailand. It's actually just a boulder problem, really. I always think, oh, that should be it. The cool thing about that one is that it just had this slimy foothold. And it was, I've heard you talk about it when you're coaching, where I'm not even sure I've ever been able to do it that much ever again. But I somehow was able to like completely focus my consciousness in my big toe and squish my big toe back and forth inside this scummy little like serving spoon. Like, it's not even really anything. And you had to twist into this serving spoon and then make this really big move out around to a jug. And it's really not that big of a deal. And it's less the climb and more the consciousness. Like I've fairly rarely been able to do that. And I think Hazel Finley talks about flow state in climbing, and I actually think it'd be really cool to take her course because she's such an absolute rock mentally. She's super, super strong. And I think, again, like I like climbing hard and everything, but I actually think I would seek the flow state a little bit more. When you kind of finally sent a climb that took you a number of tries and you're like, why did that feel so easy? And that's amazing.
Definitely. Yeah, it's weird because sometimes that goes hand in hand where you are, the climbs that are hard for you tend to require your full presence.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not, like, I love to be aware of what's going on in my mind, but I also like to be like fully in the moment, and climbing hard is, and it might not even need to be hard. It could just be run out 5'9", and there's nothing more in the world that makes me like, what is every single cell in my body doing right now? And is it helping me? Because if it's not, I don't want it. And I don't know, there's something magical about the presence climbing at your peak or in heady situations like requires. I don't know. I like that. Okay, next question.
Oh dear.
Tell me more about some of the crazy hardware you've experienced over the years, and how are things changing, hopefully for the better.
Well, I think generally speaking, carabiners are more or less carabiners. Your aluminum locker is still an aluminum locker. An attaché has been an attaché for a long time. I think the kind of the old aluminum, there is Matt. Oh, I got to double back. If I wanted to do one thing, I don't even want to say it. Someone will make me do it.
You got to say it.
There's an 11D at Skaha called Dr. Magatrip.
Yeah.
I could never send Magatrip, and I tried and tried and tried. And it's an enduro burn, like it's big. But at the top of Magatrip, again, this is 2001 maybe, 2000. Someone had zip tied this nasty aluminum beaner so that you could clip a beaner and lower, but the beaner was worn almost all the way through in 2001. And it was this nasty looking, I don't even know, I have it still, like I can show it to you, but so I was like, this is terrible, this is totally unsafe. I'm on the search and rescue team, I need to remove this and make it safe for someone. So I figured out a way to break the zip tie, and I took this beaner off, and I took one of my brand new screw gates and I left it there because I'm not going to take a piece of gear and not at least leave it behind for the next guy. And I was like, oh, that's good. Maybe I should have zip tied it or something. Who knows, right? It was confusing in the day because had never really seen that much anymore before. But that nasty aluminum beaner, like it looks like it's from the 80s. It doesn't even really look right. And but then someone stole the screw gate like the next day.
Of course they did. Your brand new $30 screw gate. Yeah.
I think crazy if you go to Railay in Thailand, and it's a different. I mean, again, I've kind of heard or experienced probably 3 different iterations of Railay, but they have all these different threads. It's just fridge handles, limestone rings, and so they just take a bunch of nasty old rope, they cut it into strips, they just run it through the limestone, they tie it in a knot with a big bull ring, like a huge bull ring, like a 10 centimeter bull ring, and so you get up to an anchor where you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do, and you're like, that's my anchor? And you're like, this rope's from 1920. And you clip into the bull ring and you're like, well, I guess it held for the last guy.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've heard Thailand hardware is on a whole new level.
Yeah,
for many people.
We were climbing the King and I, which was my first multi-pitch there. It's a 12C, which I got spanked on. And there's a huge story of technical. I had to kind of self-rescue and do all the stuff on it, but regardless, I remember climbing up, and it's actually pretty cool, and there's all the people cragging below you, and I looked down and I saw like their first aid, their like rescue area, and they have a spine board chucked in a cave with a rope so that they could lower you into the ocean, into a boat on a spine board, at which point the boat would just take you somewhere. I was like, please don't hurt your neck. Don't need an evacuation.
That's horrible. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Especially back then. That's wild. That's it for all of my questions. Yeah, that was sick, Brian. We're at 45 minutes.
Is 45 minutes the time?
We can keep going. Do you got anything else you want to talk about?
It takes me a while to generate those kinds of thoughts. Probably need to just land the plane.
Before we wrap it all up, I just wanted to thank Brian for his time, and thank you guys for tuning in to the second episode of the Dirtbag Discovery. If this is something that you enjoyed, please let me know either by email at thedirtbagdiscovery@gmail.com, or don't be afraid to voice your feelings the next time you see me at the gym. This is obviously the second episode. The main difference that I wanted to make was less yeah, totally, 100% bro. A lot of those filler words were just so hard to edit out last time. I think editing took me 10 plus hours, where this time the editing took me 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that was awesome. I also got a new microphone, and I recorded the interview with 2 different mics, and I learned how to set that up on GarageBand. So if you guys ever want to start a podcast, I'm your guy. I'll help you out. But yeah, things are getting much easier. It felt much more natural this time. I wasn't as nervous, and I'm pretty stoked to keep it going. But yeah, it's time to get sending, my friends. I'll catch you next time, and I love you all. Peace.